and the fantabulous emancipation of Harley Quinn was the latest movie to come out in the DC expanded universe. And it's time for me to give my thoughts on all of them and rank them from the worst to the best. Hello everyone, I hope you're having a cinematastic day. I'm Josh, this is Simply Cinema, and before we get into my ranking of all 8 DCEU movies from the worst to the best, I'd love to hear what your thoughts on all of them, or at least of the ones you watched, down in the comments below. And of course, this is just my list, it's not the right list. We can all have our opinions, share our thoughts, so don't be too disrespectful, don't be a jerk down in the comments below when you hear someone has a different opinion than you. But without further ado, let's begin. Coming in at last place, we have a movie that should probably not be in last place, The Justice League. This is a movie that's the DC adaptation of the Avengers, so it's a big level threat. You get all of these team ups, you get Cyborg, Aquaman, Flash, all together with Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman, and it just doesn't work. It does have some good moments. It's not atrocious. It has its humor. It has its action that's really fun and exciting that still works just like it does in the MCU. But it just, other than that, the villain we get isn't all too memorable or well CGI'd. So it takes a little bit of time, even as we get the villain, to introduce some of the heroes of the story, and as it still has a fun adventure gathering all the mother boxes that leads into the destruction, you still get the fun teamwork from each of the members in their own way. But in the end, it's kind of just slow bearing. It has this poor CGI in some of its battles, and some of the weight of the final battle is undermined by the lack of civilization. Next up, we have Shazam, and this is a movie I was really excited to get into. People were hyping it up, and I just did not quite as much buy it as everyone else did. I really did enjoy it. It goes a significant level above Justice League, but it still felt a little off. Having Zachary Levi did a wonderful performance as Shazam, but his translation and transformation from this adult that has matured and different humorous in his moments down to a little kid felt somewhat off. It felt weird in how they do it. It sort of feels overdone in what they're trying to do with this character, and I didn't quite as much buy into it. I really did love the endearing family moments and the message that it presents in the story, but in the end, the villain isn't quite as memorable either. I don't quite buy into his backstory and what they're trying to do with him. But while it did have some fun action, funny moments, and a good final battle, it doesn't quite stack up against the rest of it. Coming in at number 6, we have the Man of Steel that kicked off the DCEU, and it had an interesting adaptation of Superman's character, giving off a darker, grittier tone to his character, sort of having this sort of different style in what they're trying to do with him, but it still provides the fun and the adventure, the different origin story, how he becomes Superman coming to Earth is presented in a quite an interesting and fun way. There's a little bit of issues with the villain, how easily he sort of has this plot hole of being able to adapt Earth within seconds, whereas with Superman and Clark Kent, he has to adapt within years. And so it sort of feels undermined and rushed the way they're trying to bring in the character just so he has to fight Superman in the same amount of power that Superman has. So it doesn't quite as well work in all of the same ways. Though if you can get past that, if you can get past some of its a little bit slower moments, it provides some fun entertainment and a good origin story to Superman. Next up, we have Suicide Squad, a movie that sort of tries to be sort of the DCEU's Guardians of the Galaxy, expanding on this obscure group of characters that we haven't quite all seen before onto the big screen and bringing them into live action. And it does work in some areas. I do quite enjoy it more than a lot of other people do. It has some fun, excitement. The villain is a bit more memorable than some of the others we've been seeing, and it's so enjoyable. Some of the cast were getting Will Smith, Margot Robbie introducing a fantastic version of Harley Quinn, and the way they adapt all of these characters into the universe, the team up that they sort of clash together in at the end, at the final battle, is definitely a lot more satisfying than how they adapted Justice League into that. And it still works really well in some of its obscure moments, though some of it, the way they introduce the characters, the way it's stylized sort of at the beginning, the way they have to set up all of these characters just so you know them, isn't presented as well as it could have been. But in the end, the rest of the story really flows out fairly well and really decently, as you can really still enjoy this film. And next up we have Birds of Prey and the fabulous emancipation of Harley Quinn, and this is just a fun, energetic movie that offers some grittier moments. It's the first of the rated R movie that really does have its feel, has its sense of workings in the DCEU that kind of quite works for what it's trying to do. The title is a bit misleading in how it's trying to focus on the Birds of Prey, as mentioning that in the title first, rather than just having Harley Quinn. But it's still a fun, enjoyable movie. It does have quite a bit of energetic moments. You get into the characters, you get into the character of Black Mask and Ewan McGregor playing that character, and Margot Robbie returning as Harley Quinn is fun as ever. You get just so much good moments within all of the cast, how they bring together all the satisfying and outcomes of the emancipation of each of these characters that you get within the group of the Birds of Prey. And really, all of the Birds of Prey gather together at the end, and that's where it really shines out that moment of that group. And so it was still fun, and you get to really have a blast with what was going on, having these darker, grittier moments, and getting the feel of the DCU with the twist and the energetic fun and colorful lights of Harley Quinn. Before I get on to my top 3, I'd like to let you know that if you like all things superheroes, I also have a ranking on all 23 MCU movies ranked from the worst to the best right up there in the corner, and you can check that video out right after this one. Moving into number 3, we have Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. This has just a fun, exciting cast of Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, and Gal Gadot, and just presents a great story, bringing together the world of Batman and Superman, and then by the end introducing Wonder Woman's character into the DCEU, and it's all templated just well enough that you can really fall into the story, really can get into the sides of Batman, and really understand Superman's character as he's having his own struggles with his powers, what he's doing. And Batman also has these problems with how his feelings are towards Superman for destroying some of the city and not quite cleaning up his mess behind, as we go off the events of the Man of Steel. And it's templated just right. It has the right story and the right mood that you can really buy into the grittiness and darkness of the DCEU. It does have its problems with some of the pacing and some of its issues, but in the end, I still really buy into even Lex Luthor, and in the end, I can just really understand its energy and what it's trying to do, and it all works out. And number 2, we have Aquaman, and it's just really fun, energetic, has a whole lot of laughs you can receive from this movie, as Aquaman is the funny character of the DCU. You get a ton of different fun moments, you get a lot of humor, and you get a lot of action and wonderful cinematography. Some of the CGI is a little bit off, the way they template something in there, but the final battle is one of my favorite and the most colorful. Just seeing Namor fight Aquaman on that ship within the rain. It just feels all colorful, all done right, all shot right, and you can just follow what it's trying to do. There's a few moments where they force a joke by breaking Aquaman out of character and sort of making this dumb remark that doesn't feel quite right, just so they can build up a joke. And that doesn't quite work with what they're trying to do. But with all the fun, energy, the visuals, and everything in between, Aquaman comes at number 2. But coming in at number 1, we have Wonder Woman. And this is a fun movie once again, added into a DCU. It has its dark, gritty moments, but also is bright in the way it shines its light. How Wonder Woman is brought up, how she is presented her origin story, and it's done all in this heroic moment in the DCU, in the timeline of World War One, and it's just presented in the right way and exciting. The way they bring it all about, what they're trying to do with Wonder Woman's character and her relationship with Steve Trevor is something you can really buy into as they build the dynamics just right, as you build the dynamics between her and humanity just the right way. And while it does have a little bit of pacing issues in different little moments, in the end, Wonder Woman comes at number 1. Of course, those were just my personal thoughts on this ranking, and I'd love to hear what your ranking of these movies were down in comments below. Make sure to check out some of these other videos if you missed them. Make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Make sure to share it with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already if you're new to this channel for all things movies and geek related. Let me know your favorite movie of this franchise, and I'll be back for more movie reviews, rankings, and more.